pneumatic systems, so I've added hydraulic systems to it. Oops. Pneumatic and hydraulic systems. So chapter 5 covers pneumatic systems. And then since there's no hydraulic chapter systems in the book, then we'll just look at some stuff. So the first thing, of course, we'll look at is compressors. What does the compressor do?
What compressors do, or do they do in all applications?
Either way. We have compressors here somewhere. I don't know where it's at. There is a compressor that Nancy bought over in the other storage room, but I don't have a key to it. That it's not used. It's a nice Craftsman compressor over there, but they're using what they call shop air here. So there's a compressor somewhere in this building. I just don't know where it's at. So what's that compressor doing for us?
But it pushes down on stuff. What a compressor does.
Well, usually in pneumatics, compressor consists of, most compressors consist of two different components. What would be the two main components of it?
A motor.
Could be.
It's like.
Well, what we have to do is remember our pumps and the actual compressors themselves are not actually creating the pressure. They're creating flow. And when you push it against something, that's what creates pressure, right? So hydraulics, we don't have to store that pressure, or sometimes we do. I think we talked this a little bit about it last class. We have something that we use in hydraulics every once in a while. We call them accumulators. What are accumulators? Well, what happens if we lose our pump in a hydraulic?
Now pressure.
Yeah, what happens if we lose our pump in a hydraulic? We lose our flow, right? As soon as we lose our flow, we lose our pressure. So that means if we don't put some type of safety feature in there, something that would maintain the flow for a short amount of time, which would maintain the pressure, then we could have problems if we have a power failure, right, or something happens. So we store fluid. In accumulators in a hydraulic system, they either use gas, so they compress a gas. So while the pump's running, it'll fill up this accumulator. Then as soon as it pushes against a big plate or something, it'll generate pressure, and then that pressure pushes up into either a gas and compresses the gas, or there's a big spring up there on the other side that compresses the spring. Or it might just be the weight of the plate that it pushes up. And then, of course, if the pump fails, then the accumulator can provide the flow, right, and maintain pressure. Also, it smooths the pressure from the pump. So the pump usually are going to be something like reciprocating or a vein or something like that. It might have a wobble to it. Plus, you're out there moving things around. And if you move things around, then you're going to demand more flow out of your pump. Well, pumps are rated at a certain amount of flow, so I got two options. I can try to oversize a pump that meets the maximum demand of the system, or I can use a pump that meets the average demand of the system and then put a big accumulator out there. And when something needs that high demand, it can feed off the wall, off the accumulator and the pump. So we run into those a lot in hydraulic systems. Pneumatics, though, normally, especially on the compressors that we run into most often, we have to store that pressure. We have to store a pressure. We have to make it create pressure. So we have a tank that has sides on it, We don't let the air move. And then, of course, it's going to push up against the side and create pressure. So normally a compressor consists of a compressor unit, it's got to have a prime mover, right? It's got to have a prime mover. But when I was talking about the main thing, you got the actual compressor itself, and then a tank to store the pressure.
They start using these inverters, inverter compressors. Is that a thing you need in hydraulic and pneumatic?
What do you mean by inverter compressor?
Yes. They use a lot of the HVAC now. It's kind of their where it's complete variable speed. And you were talking about a compressor run at that one speed. Well, this has 30 different stages, so you don't use as much.
Usually a compressor in air conditioning use what they call a screw compressor on it. Before we got, it's just something that spins and creates that way. That inverting, it must be a variable frequency drive or something they're using on that.
It actually runs off the
the fan motor on my unit, it's still a 3-speed motor, but it doesn't have. It's DC, but it's weird. These are different types of compressors, but these are really not important. The main one we see, though, is the reciprocating compressor. And reciprocating just means something that moves like. Move back and forth. They call that reciprocating action. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. We have rotary screws, sliding vanes, impeller, liquid ring, diaphragm, and centrifugal, and axial flow, which are really neat compressors. Motor displacement, we already talked about that. What does that term mean? So when we get into motors or pumps or compressors, we're not going to deal with area anymore. We're going to deal with what we call displacement. So what's the difference between area and displacement? Or volume. It's a volume, right? Now we knew what, when we start talking about the number of cubic inches, or when they start talking about the number of liters and engine use, what is your car engine, what do they tell you? Tell me what? How much air it can move to that engine in one revolution. So when we start dealing with motors and pumps and stuff, we start dealing with displacement. So displacement is measured in cubic inches per revolution or cubic centimeters per revolution, or our cars deal with liters. Now liters or gallons, that is a volume already, right? Most motorcycles are measured in centimeters per revolution, and most of our cars are rated in liters per revolution. Single stage compressor, these are compressors with one or more cylinders with the same bore. Multi-stage compressors, one compressor feeding into another compressor that has a smaller displacement. These two compressors are usually mounted on the same crankshaft. A single acting compressor, these are terms used with reciprocating compressors that compress when the piston moves in one direction. Double acting compressors, these are compressors that compresses on both directions of the pistons. Intercooler, these are cooling air between stages. So when we have multi-stages compressors, what they do is actually cool the air between the stages on the compressor. Aftercooler, this is cooling the air after the final stage of the compressor. Are we okay? Y'all understand those terms? Are we okay? So single acting, double acting, single stage, and multi-stage. So this is an example of a reciprocating compressor. This is what we would call a single stage compressor, because all of the pistons have exactly the same volume, and all of them are pushing air in the same direction. When we have a multi-stage compressor, you're going to take the output of one compressor and feed it into another compressor. That makes sense. So you're going to compress the gas more than one time. I mean, the first compressor will have a certain volume, And then the second compressor, would its volume would be bigger or smaller? We're going to take the output of one compressor and feed it into another. Huh? Well, not when it's already been compressed. So if the second compressor had the same volume as the first, the air would uncompress. So what you're going to find out is that as you go through stages, each stage is going to get smaller because you're taking something that's already compressed and compressing it more. Compress it more. So this one, and so what you're going to do is, since all these feed the same thing, so they suck in and feed out, this would be called a single stage compressor. So just because you have multiple cylinders does not mean it is a multi-stage compressor, because these guys feed out the same manifold. So your engine is a single stage compressor on your car, because all your cylinders feed out the same exhaust, right? But if I took the output and fed it into another compressor, then it would be a multi-stage.
Aren't you fed from different sources?
No, all of it fed with the same. You have an intake manifold and you have an exhaust manifold on your car. So your car is a perfect example of a compressor. So the intake manifold, you used to have one carburetor. It had multiples. We had 4-barrel carburetors, but basically it was just a big old two. If you ever look at a carburetor on a Harley Davidson motorcycle, it's usually one throat. It's a big old throat. So we put it there. So now all this is monitored through so this would be a single acting single stage compressor. So just because you add multiple pistons, so what would you do here? Well, you'd get a lot more flow, right? You understand? But you wouldn't get. Y'all understand what we're saying? And the flow would be smoother, right? You understand? So the problem we have with a single piston reciprocating compressor is that you're only compressing on the upstroke, and so what you end up with a pulsation. Single stage, 2-piston compressor. This one would be an example of a 4-piston compressor. So if we increase the number of pistons, then what are we going to increase? We're going to increase the displacement, right? We should increase the flow. This would be an example of a double acting compressor. I think that this video was out there. I don't know. The problem with playing videos on here is that sometimes the sound don't record correctly. This don't have any sound anyway. So you notice what this guy's doing. So it's acting like it's acting like basically 2 pistons, but it's doing one piston. So what's it doing? It's actually creating flow on both sides of the stroke. Yeah. And this is showing the actual operation of the check valves, which is pretty neat. This is a 2-stage single-acting compressor. So what you'll notice is your first stage is going to be a bigger bore, and then it's going to feed into the water. In the second stage, it's going to have a smaller bore, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to take something that's already compressed in water, compress it more. So you can tell these double-stage compressors really. And then anytime you pressurize the air, it's going to get real hot, right? You understand? Which is going to try to make it expand and do things. So what we do on double act or multi-stage compressors is we have what we call an intercooler between the 2 compressors. Does that make sense? You okay? I don't have any animation on that. So this is obviously a 2-stage compressor without the cooler. We okay there? So normally these 2 compressors are on the same crank, right? On the same. You got one prime mover that's running both compressors. So when one is compressing, the other one is intaking, right? Makes sense. So this shows the intercooler. This would be a 3-stage compressor. So anything, standard compressors, you get around, maybe 120 psi out of a single stage. And that would be with a pretty good size bore. And then you take that and feed that in there, you might get, 150, 160 psi, and then you feed that, you might get up to around 200 psi, right? Which is what they ran out of US Steel, I imagine. Well, not all US Steel. US Steel over at the Curve Master, which used to be in Easley. This is the multi-stage compressor. So what we have is we have a 3-stage compressor right here, and then we have a 3-stage compressor on the other side. So that'd be 6 stages. Can y'all see what I'm talking about? If not, I know it's all blue and it's hard to see. But you can barely see the fins on these over here. Same color? 6 stages like this? Yeah. Yeah. Do you know how much pressure they ran? Imagine it was up around 400 psi, maybe more. The highest pressure that I've ever seen in a plant, pneumatics, was at the Bridgestone plant up in Laverne, Georgia. They had 600 psi. I wish I'd have thought about it and asked them, could I see the compressor? Because that would have been neat. But, and it usually was, it probably was really, really big. So we have all different types of compressors that we have available. If you got a home compressor, it's probably going to be a single stage, single acting compressor. But I've seen people add 2-stage compressors also. Sliding vane compressor, basically this is exactly the same as the sliding vane motor. Normally it's offset so you can see what it does, right? It's going to pull air in, then it's going to do what? Start compressing it. And then we call this positive, by the way, this is called, is that in the definition? Positive displacement. So just about all our compressors are positive displacement. Which means it's going to do what? It's going to trap the gas in the space. And then it's going to do what? It's going to make the space smaller. Right? That makes sense? So a sliding vane compressor, you can actually see how that thing works. This is another picture that shows you the. So we looked at a sliding vane motor, right? You understand? What you find out is that almost any fluid power motor can also be used as a pump or used as a compressor. These are rotary screws. Can you see how these are single stage 50 psi, 2-stage to 150 psi. These guys can do about 4,000 cubic feet per minute. So a lot of your big shop compressors work this way. You see why it's called rotary screw? Pretty neat. So you have these 2 screws. One of them's going to be moved. One of them's going to be driven. The other one's going to be, one of them's going to be the driver. The other one's going to be driven. Right? And they just mesh them together. And as it moves down there, so this is a little better. So a lot of your big shop compressors, and these guys, what's nice about these is these guys give a real smooth flow, right? Instead of a big pulsating flow that a single stage or even a 2-stage compressor, a single acting compressor that would give you that. This is called a load compressor or pump. Can you see how it works? So it's got these 2 big old loads, and then they just run inside each other. And as it moves, the volume decreases. So you can see when this right here turns, what's it going to do? It's going to decrease the volume, and if it decreases the volume, it's going to increase the water pressure. Liquid ring, yeah. A diaphragm compressor. These are the little old compressors. I don't know if y'all ever took the fuel pump off like a riding lawnmower or something like that. Have you ever seen those? Had the opportunity to drill those? Those are diaphragm pumps. So what they do is they have a diaphragm, and the fluid's on one side, and then they use the vacuum off the motor. And your motor's sitting there pumping, right? You understand? And what is it? It pulls it in, and that's a pump. Well, if we got something that can cause that diaphragm movement up, in and out, and we pull the diaphragm up, it would pull air into a check valve, and then when we push it down, it would push it back out, right? So we have diaphragm pumps. A lot of your little tiny pumps that you use for like airbrush, if you're into painting and stuff like that, it might be these little tiny compressors. A lot of the compressors that you buy for your car, that you can plug into your cigarette lighter and pump your tires up with that, those are usually diaphragm compressors. Very simple compressors. These are what we call actual flow compressors. And basically they work like jet engines. So what we have is we spin this thing with a prime mover, and it starts in with these big old blades with a lot of space. And as it moves through the compressor, the blades get closer together, which does what? Compresses the air. These guys can create a lot of flow. They can't create a lot of pressure, but they can create a lot of flow. So this would be a better picture of an actual flow compressor.
What do they use that inside airplanes?
Well, airplanes is a jet engine. This is a compressor, which basically does almost the same thing. So what we do in a jet engine is we pull air into the front, and when it hits these vanes, goes to the air steam. And then it compresses it as it goes to the back. And then they inject water into the fuel. And well, J4 just like that. This is what type of plane you got. The P3s that I worked on could run into J4 at the time. It had a different lockdown level to it, which is pretty neat. But it has a combustion chamber, and they light that thing off one time, and then after that it just keeps running. And then what they do is they use that exhaust to do what? Suck the air in and then pull it out. Normally they have a starter on them. I don't know if y'all have ever seen the big air carts they bring out. And they plug into the bottom of the plane, and all it does is force air through the compressor. So here these guys were using some type of fuel, just like your car. So your car, you have to start the compression cycle, right? So why do we have one of our cars to start the compression cycle? Starter. And then of course once we ignite it, then of course it's self-maintains as long as we keep gasoline going into it. And that would be true. Here what we're doing is we're spinning this thing with a prime mover. So instead of using the combustion of a fluid to cause it to happen, we're spinning these with prime movers. And so what it's going to do is it's going to suck the air in and do what? Compress it as it goes through. Normally these guys don't use the storage. These guys don't have to use the storage tank. And then we have a very popular compressor called a centrifugal compressor. So these literally it works a lot like an actual compressor. But can you see the way the blades are moved? Usually it sucks the air in the front right here. And then as it moves through here, it's forced down through here, these things get narrower and causes the pressure to go up. Now these guys, and it's a really, really smooth flow. And then they have a bunch of intercoolers on these things, and they run these things to a lot of stages. But look, limited to about 15 psi per stage, but 5 to 50,000 more cubic feet per minute. So most of the time you'll see these things going through multiple stages. So a stage means we would take the output of one centrifugal and do what? Chill it down and feed it into another. So I don't know, there might be a picture here, multi-stage centrifugal compressors. So you just take the output of one and feed it into the other. I don't know how many stages this thing is. So I found this on the internet somewhere. But if you can get 15 psi per stage, and then you ran it through 10 stages, you could get basically 50,000 psi at 50,000 cubic feet per minute, and you could definitely control a plant with something like that. So, we have a very small air requirement over there, and even our small air requirement still causes us problems. But if you got a big plant, you need some real reliable, real smooth air, then these guys right here would be the route to go. This is basically the scroll compressor that they use in most air conditioning systems. And now these guys are usually totally sealed. And your motor and your scroll and everything's on the inside. I don't know if I've got a video now. I thought I had a video on this. Oh, it says I did, but I don't have a link. Let's see what I've got. So this is a single stage compressor. This would be a multi-piston. I think we've already looked at that. This is a centrifugal compressor. And it's got how many stages? About 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it looks like. And all this is just taking it apart. Yeah, this is 6 stages. And you can see why it's called centrifugal, because it pulls it in.
Now, what a cooling thing between those.
In between stages, yeah. It's hard to see here. And that's all that video. This is a vane compressor. So what did it say? SketchUp a turbo compressor, rotary screw compressor.
The compressor is discharged from the opposite end of the intake. Rotating screw compressors can be used in applications ranging from 3 horsepower to over 500 horsepower. They are commonly used by roadside repair crews to power air tools and are also used for automobile engine superchargers.
This is nothing but another centrifugal compressor. On the purpose, so that's the centrifugal compressor we said before. First one they adjust the valve. You can see the fan there. They can control the input flow into the compressor. Oops. Probably have one. It says I got a video, but I didn't see the scroll compressor in there. So. Can you see how it works? These two things wobble into each other. Actually decrease it as it goes down. Everybody okay on the symbol for pumps and compressor symbols? And this is where the prime mover would attach right here. That's what that indicates up there. So compressors are rated in standard cubic feet per minute. What's standard cubic feet per minute? What is standard? When I know standard cubic feet per minute, what does that mean to me? So what is standard cubic feet per minute? That's all I can check with. What does that mean to you? What does that mean? Yeah, because it gives you different pressure flows. So the higher the pressure, the less standard cubic feet per minute the compressor can move, right? So what's standard cubic feet per minute? So when I get a compressor, the compressor's rated in standard cubic feet per minute. So we probably need to know what that means, right? You understand? So what's standard cubic feet per minute? I'm just trying to find out what standard cubic feet per minute is, huh? No.
Well, standard cubic feet, I mean, that in the English system, so that's our system of cubic feet per minute. The imperial system was great low pressure.
So we have what we call actual cubic feet per minute. That's what we actually have, right? But I cannot rate a compressor because what determines how much compressor can suck in? Atmospheric pressure, right? So that means how much you can move is depending on what. So when we start talking about the displacement of a car engine, where's that at? Where's that at? Well, it's got to be at some altitude because you understand that as the car goes up in altitude, it's not going to lose as much air because the air is thinner. So when we rate the cubic meter or the liters of a car, we gotta rate it someplace at some altitude. And what altitude do you think that is? Sea level. Okay, so standard cubic feet per minute is how much this compressor could flow at mean sea level. So even pressure at sea level varies, right? You understand that? But they came up with what they call an average sea level pressure. And what's that? What are we using for average sea level pressure? 14.7, right? I think it's actually 14.69. Yeah, it is something like that. And at what temperature? So we got to say it's got to be at a temperature too, right? So at what temperature? $60 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah. So So it's the standard, it's atmosphere, so that's what we rate computers at, is what? It's the mean pressure at mean is average. It's the average pressure at sea level, right, on the tank, right, at 60 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's what these compressors are rated. I mean, if the temperature changes, if the temperature goes down, the compressor is going to move more air. If the temperature goes up, the compressor is going to move less air, right? If you get up in altitude, it's going to move less air. If you go down, you can't get it. If you go below sea level, I think the big sea is that, no, the salt plants out in Arizona. I think they're actually below the sea level. Huh? Yeah, speed test out there because it's so flat and so big. So this guy's giving you, okay, so it says, okay. By the way, we have a glossary up there that y'all need to start with. So when I say, you know, you need to know the meaning of these terms, then here they are, right? It better be in here. So this would be a perfect place to, the volume of air a compressor can provide under standard conditions of temperature and inlet pressure in USA is feet per minute at 68 degrees Fahrenheit. So we was kind of wrong. I thought it was 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Which is pretty standard for rating things, around 70 degrees. And in actual cubic feet per minute, this would be, the only way you're going to know actual cubic feet per minute is to what? How do you know actual cubic feet per minute? Good measure. Good idea. So they have different ones. So this guy gets up to what? Cutout pressure. It gets up to 140 psi. Cut in pressure. This guy here is gonna run between 100 psi and 140 psi. This is going to be between 100 and 130, which is pretty standard. This is about what my compressor. I think my compressor runs between like 110 and 120, but it goes down to 70. Most of your home shop, most of your home compressor, most of your home tools are rated at 70, 60 psi. Let's see. So these are different models. These are different horsepower that it delivers. Yeah, I think this is basically the same thing. I think this is my compressor right here. Huh? Yeah, this is one. It's a Craftsman. You get certain tools that pay for the set. It's already have a little flux welder that's paid for itself. My Microsoft's paid for itself more than one time. So this was at 40 psi can deliver 5.1 standard cubic feet per minute. At 90 psi it can only deliver 3.8. So the flow varies, right, as the tank builds up pressure. The flow varies. Now, the technical term for this guy is the what? Receiver. But just about everybody calls it what? Tank. As gases are compressed or generate pressure, they heat, so we have to cool these things down. Intercoolers, these are coolings between what? stages, and after cooler, this is the cooler after discharge. That makes sense? Intake filters, you need to filter your air really well. You know why is that? Especially on reciprocating compressors. You get contamination in your cylinders. You know, any abrasion that can cause your rings and everything to wear out, which is real bad. You need to keep your intake filter. I've seen people run compressors. I've seen people run lawnmowers without them. And then they wonder why they start smoking after a while. After coolers, these guys can be long tubes. A lot of times, some people call them chillers, where they actually run cool water on the outside of the jacket and then run the compressed air in the center. Receiver tanks, are you okay here? Not very much to them. Pneumatic tanks are going to have a drain at the lowest point, right? Because it's almost impossible to keep water out of those tanks. Even though I did work on a compressor, and actually I worked on the system where they literally chilled the air before they put it into the compressor. So what they did is when they chilled it, they released all the moisture before they put it in the compressor. And then they chilled it. And this guy was they did powder milk. Gerald's milk comes from Gerald's milk. Powder milk. Yeah. You know, they make that right here. They don't make the powdered milk, but they package it right here. They were going over from a mechanical system over to an electronic system controlled by PLCs. I was involved in installing the line unit. You know, their compressor was impressive. Tubing. So we got all type of pneumatic tubing. We use a lot of plastic in pneumatics. And of course we do use some metal. Fittings. We got all types of fittings. We have quick disconnect fittings. We have tees. We have splitters. And, I don't know if we got any splitters or not. Like this, where we take one input and send it out to two. Do we have those in there? Yeah. Well, a tee, if you wanted to send them in the same direction, if you send it out in the tee, you have to liquid like right here. You know, a lot less contact or water contact. It's, yeah. That's a good point. Piping. Of course, in pneumatic systems, we have a lot of drains. Unfortunately, they didn't do that on our system over here. Normally, what we try to do is when you bring it right from the ceiling, they'll put a loop down there at the bottom and put a drain in the center of that. So we get air. The first time I taught the class, ever taught it, we piped everything up, and the students went over there, turned on the air, and just shot water out. I mean, so the compressor was full. I mean, it was full. I've never seen them do it. So we do go over there and do that one. So that's pneumatics. And then what we'll look at on the fluid power systems, and then on hydraulics, is we'll come back and we'll talk about the accumulators. We've already talked about that a little bit. We get some data sheets on there, different things. This is one thing we don't have for our pneumatic system. I wish Nancy would have bought one of these, and these are what flow meter. If we had a flow meter, then we could do a little. We could actually see how we could do basic calculations on the speed of the cylinders. If we don't know the flow, then there's no way in the world we can figure out the speed. Right? So we don't have any flow meters over there. And this is what we'll look at first, and this is a chemical Huh? What's that? Test 3 is next week. So what we're going to do is we'll be in lab most of the time. So you see, these lectures go pretty fast, right? And if y'all got any questions on what we went over, it's pretty straightforward, right? It's not much to do. And it wouldn't be pneumatic. It wouldn't be pneumatic. It'd be hydraulic. And we don't want water in our system because you got something that's uncompressible trying to get something that's compressible. And plus, if you get water in the pneumatic system, it's going to create rust. Water or air in a hydraulic system is devastating. Why is that? Because it does compress. You know, this is one thing. If you're any type of mechanic in a car or even on a motorcycle, one thing you learn is how to breathe. Because you get air, your brakes get water. So we call it spring on brake. Sure, it's called, but it won't be pneumatics, it would be called hydraulic. Well, the problem with water is, what's the problem with water? Tell me the problem with water. Tell me the problem with water. Why don't we use water in a hydraulic? Because it is extremely corrosive. Water is extremely corrosive. Now they do have the ability to put lubricants in the water. You know, you can go out and buy car washing liquid that's got wax in it. How they do that, I don't know. But the problem is that we have another big problem with water, in that water is not like a lot of other fluids. So we have a big problem with freezing. So there's very few places in the United States where we don't have freezing weather. And what's going to happen? Water is the only thing I know of that expands when you freeze it and it expands when you boil it. So I don't know how that happens. I'm sure I can research that. So the problem is if we have a real cold night, like if you had a hydraulic system with water in it, what's going to happen? It's going to freeze and rust out. So there are some hydraulic systems that use water. I mean, it's a known fact. Thank goodness. You walk down to Canyon Hill, they got a big grist mill down there that's hydraulic. And they use water to turn a big cattle wheel, right? Well, yeah, that's the advantage of hydraulics. For one thing, hydraulics, it creates pressure instantly. So as soon as you stop the flow, it creates water. It creates pressure. As soon as you stop the flow, as soon as it rubs up against it. Another advantage oil has is that it's lubricating too. So it lubricates everything as it moves. Right, so it flows. You can control the viscosity of the thickness of it a little better too, than you can waters. But yeah, there's hydraulic systems, and the advantage of hydraulic systems is they're more efficient. Yeah, they're a lot more efficient, but they're smoother. we can control the flow a lot better, because it's not constantly trying to do what? Uncompress and compress. So we can precise speed control. If I'm going to do have an actuator out there or a motor that I'm going to precisely control the speed, and this will be some type of hydraulic. What advantage does pneumatics have? Cheaper to install. It's actually a lot less efficient than hydraulic, because you gotta pressurize it right before you can use it. So there's a lot of loss in the system. Another big advantage of pneumatics over hydraulics is it's a lot safer. It's a lot cleaner.
And I remember I was considering water doesn't have contaminants and things.
But as soon as you say water, it's no longer pneumatic.
I know I was looking at hydraulics. You're looking at hydraulics.
And like I said,
Instead of oil.
well, then you run into all the problems with water. So the main fluid in a hydraulic system, it would be like it'd be like you use water in your transmission, in your car. And how long would it last? Probably last a little while. Evaporation, too. You have to worry about evaporation and all kinds. Are we okay? Okay, guys, let's look at the plan for, let's look at our calendar. So assignment 4 is going to be due Tuesday. I'm sorry, Wednesday, not Monday. What's assignment 4? Huh? Yeah, you're going to create your circuit, right? So that will be due Monday. Drawn out. And then label. And you can draw it on a piece of paper. You're going to turn one in, so you need to make 2 copies of it. I'll find some graph paper and give it to you. If you don't have it done Monday, you can transpose it over. So the drawing that you leave on your lab table for the troubleshooting is going to have to be on graph paper. So that way you can draw it out really neat so the other students can follow it, right? Oh, that's not good for us. So we're sitting right here on the 19th. Assignment 4 will be due here. The last assignment will be due right here. You know what the last assignment is? Yeah, of course it's surveying. Test 3, we're going to give it the start of class. Y'all understand why? Test 3 is not going to be at the end of class. Test 3 is going to be at the start of class. So I can look at it and see if there's any problem. Guys, there's not going to be a retake on test 3, so y'all need to really do a good point. The other 2 tests is, since everybody that was going to retake the test retook it, so the final grades for test 2 should be up there. For y'all that retook the test. Well, we're not going to be able to do that with test 3. Everybody understand that? Yes, right. So final assignment is due right here. When we come after the test, we'll be working on lab. Everybody will be working on lab 11. Okay. And then this Monday, we'll start with our troubleshooting. I'm sorry, this Monday right here. No, that's not right. So here we'll bring in assignment 4, and we'll start, oh, no, 26. So assignment 4 is due on 26. The last assignment is due on 28. That's what we need to do, is figure out how we're going to do lab 11, which is the troubleshooting, and then lab 12. Lab 11 is where you're going to pipe your circuit up. So it's a pretty good lab. We got to pipe our circuit up, verify that it operates the way we think it's going to work. Try to figure out 3 problems we're putting into the thing. Right? We'll document those. We have a paper up here. And then I'll do up to try to do the troubleshooting that night. This means it'll leave our troubleshooting on the night of the final, the day of the final exam. And we can have the final exam first and then do the troubleshooting, or we can do the troubleshooting first and then take the final exam, whichever one you want to do. Huh? Sure, that'd be fine. That's no big deal. So we'll be in lab the rest of the night here, and then we'll be in lab the rest of the night here. All night, I'm sorry. We'll be in lab. The only thing we're going to do, Wednesday night is just do that little hydraulic section. First class and then the grade. And then I can go ahead and post the test review. Hopefully y'all been going back and reviewing y'all's test 1, test 3. I haven't been able to put test 2 up there. Why? Because somebody had an option to retake it. But I'll go up there and I'll take care of that when I'll get to the lab. So you'll have the first 2 tests up there that you can start doing the study. It's up there as many times you want to have your grade or hurt your grade. And that's the perfect way to study for the final exam. And then between test 3 and the final exam, that would be the only one test that you'll have to really go back and review with the test 3. So we can't have a retake on test 3 until 1. Because I got to put it up there so y'all can review the study. Are we okay? Everybody okay? Any questions? Okay. Only one. I laugh at that because I had a student every test we took and say, "This is my lowest grade." And I had to keep telling them, "You only get to drop 1. You don't get to drop it. The program automatically." Oh yeah, they're for A. Oh yeah, let me get, yes I did. Yes I did. I didn't print them off. I know what you're talking about. I know you're talking about the sheet that's got all the labs and part numbers and everything on it. Yeah, hopefully Nancy's got enough paper in there. Well, I have no idea how to use that copy machine. She's not. Yeah, y'all need that. Yeah, I think I told you about the last time we called it. They didn't have that sheet, and what did they do? They designed circle. Yeah, well, they used parts of it and that caused a little bit. She's got paper in there. I'll go ahead and run those off tonight. Any more questions? Good point. Thank you.